guy, man. It's always in here. Hey!
Dude, what do you want?
Dude, we gotta do the review of the TC.
Dude.
What are you doing back here?
Listen, man. I've been driving around with all my okay? I've been busy.
Dude, what is this t-shirt?
Dude, this is my nice t-shirt. This is my sleeping shirt.
Come on, get up. We gotta do this, man. You're not a college kid anymore.
Oh, I'm not 22 anymore.
Not since the Cadillac Catera have we seen a car so marketed towards the younger generation. For those that want to haul around a lot of shit, from the dorm room to the Lifetime Fitness, there's only one car meant for the job. Things we like for this model year: I can haul all my shit around in it. We like for this model year are the 16-inch TRD exhaust tip. It has a deep and throaty growl, only matched by that of other 16-valve cars. So for the new generation, you have the choice of going with any tire and wheel setup you want. Never before seen on any Toyota car. Scion's whole deal is affordable cars to the younger market. Have they achieved that here? Yeah? Yeah, pretty much. All second generation Scion TCs come equipped with a full moonroof with automatic sunroof. The Scion TC also comes with a cable actuated 6-speed manual shifter. The Scion TC's 2.5-liter sprint it from 0 to 60 in around 7.5 seconds.
Alright, well now that we've had our fun with that Motor Week style review, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We're going to get out and actually do a real review this time. So, as you guys know from the channel, this is my 2013 Scion TC. I've had it since November of 2015, so I've had it almost 6 years now, and in that time it's been an awesome car, and I'll have to go ahead and tell you guys why that is and why you might want to buy one of these. So a little bit of background on the Scion TC second generation itself is these cars were produced from 2011 to 2016, and they saw a few revisions through the years. 2011 and 2012 were the same as far as I'm aware, and in 2013 they actually changed to this style Pioneer radio. It's slightly different. The old one looked a little bit more like a microwave, whereas this one looks more like your traditional double-din kind of aftermarket radio, which apparently is what they wanted to do with this car, is make it look like it had an aftermarket radio, because that's what the kids like. So that's you know, a small change there. And then after 2013, in 2014 to 2016, they actually moved to a facelifted version to kind of fall more in line with the styling of the FRS /86 and some of the other cars in their lineup. So yeah, there's that's what they call this generation 2.5. So, and with that generation, they actually ended up stitch welding the chassis. I'm not sure to what degree. I'm not sure if, you know, the entire thing is stitch welded, but it's been seam welded in certain, at least in you know, part of the chassis, and so that really helped with chassis rigidity for this car and improved the handling a little bit. Outside of that, it got, you know, LED headlights and taillights, the new style hood, and front and rear bumpers, of course. And they went to a touchscreen radio, which is pretty nice. That's a nice upgrade, and a push start button. Now, when I bought my car, you know, that model was out, so the this car was 2 years old when I bought it, and I could have bought, you know, a 2014 or a 2015, but I kind of felt like these early cars would they'd age better in terms of styling and, you know, the radio. I don't feel like this radio is going to be problematic. It's very simple. It's very easy. I like physical controls. I don't necessarily like touch controls. The whole reason I bought this car is because it was, you know, pretty simple. I really like simple, maintenance-free cars, or not maintenance-free, but, you know, just cars that are easy to work on and require little to no work in some areas. The engine is the 2.5 liter 2AR FE, and that is actually a variant that's found in the Camry as well as the RAV4. It makes 180 horsepower actually. It makes 180 horsepower and I think like 150 torque or something like that. I'll have to look up the numbers again, but the nice thing about this motor is that for being a 4-cylinder, it always produces decent torque. It's obviously not, you know, a rocket ship. It's still a 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated, but because of the displacement, you know, being a larger 4-cylinder, that lends itself to kind of having a power band that is pretty rock solid, and, you know, you can pass people on the highway if, you know, you're in 6th and you just give it some gas, and, you know, you don't have to downshift like crazy in some of the smaller engines, like, you know, like a Honda Civic you would have to. So that's really nice. This car is somewhere between slow and mildly quick, so you know what you're getting into. And that leads me into a problem that I've had with, not a problem that I've had with, what am I saying? That leads me into an interesting point. A lot of people think this car is, they like to have a downtrodden view of this car and, you know, say that it's slow, it doesn't handle very well. Well, you know, it's not a sports car. It's still very much an economy car. You know, it's a nicer economy car than a lot of the cars you would get. And it's more of a grand touring car. In fact, that's what TC stands for, is touring coupe. So it kind of has a bad rap for, you know, what it is, but I think people don't understand what this car really is supposed to be. It's a comfortable, big 2-seater, or a big 2-door that has a back seat that's actually really usable. It's got a huge hatchback. You can fit so much stuff back there. As I always talk about, you know, I think we fit 3 mountain bikes back there, and I fit a whole adult racing cart with the car stand and all my tools and another person on a long road trip we did. So it's pretty amazing in that fact. And, you know, you'll get 32 on the highway if you're, you know, just on cruise control. Otherwise, you'll see around anywhere from like 26 to 28 if you're doing city and highway. You know, it's not amazing, but it's kind of a great mix of all of these things, which is why I purchased the car, because it's simple. It's a manual, so it's still somewhat fun to drive. They handle okay for what they are. There's definitely understeer, we'll talk about that. Yeah, just simple, easy, pretty comfortable, reliable, practical. So, a lot of good reasons. So who would I recommend this car for? I'd recommend this car to someone who's not necessarily concerned with buying a fuel sipper daily. You know, it's not the best in class for that. Nor do I, you know, recommend it to someone that might want something a bit sportier. You know, the easy comparison is to cross-shop this with the Honda Civic, and you know, personally, I would take this over the Honda Civic from the same generation, and actually the next generation, which is what my girlfriend has. And while I like that car, I just prefer the road dynamics and just kind of the styling and the amount of room there is in here for me. This car just tends to do a lot of things really well, and it's super practical. You know, it's if I had to assign, you know, like a number score to this car in terms of like fuel economy, performance, handling, you know, for cars in this segment, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 all the way around. And while that might sound bad on the surface, it's a car that does a lot of things very well. And it kind of pulls off a lot of different tricks of being a fun manual drive car, of being decently quick, getting good gas mileage, having a fair back seat and front area as well too, and then a huge hatchback area that honestly it, you know, excels in a 2-door class. It's unbelievable. So road noise, and my other big complaint is that this car, at least here in Texas, really struggle with it in the summer heat. There's so much greenhouse in this car, you know, with the huge moonroof and the gigantic rear glass panel for the hatch, that the AC really just has a hard time kind of keeping up with that. And, you know, I mean, it ends up being okay, you know, once you're at speed and it's, you know, you've got the air circulating for a while, but it does take quite a while, and it never gets quite as cold as other cars that might have like a metal roof would get. So it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is enough that I would like to do something about it, and I have some future mods planned for it as well too, so be on the lookout for that. Now, this is a really good time for us to review this car because this marks the 10-year anniversary of the second generation car. So 2011 was when they started, and it's now 2021. It's been out of production since 2016, but this car is a very strong contender in the second-hand market. You know, I've seen these cars as low as $4,000, which I think is just a bargain for what you're getting. You're getting an extremely reliable car. It's, you know, decently cool, at least in the eyes of, you know, some of the beholders as well too. You know, it's just, it does so many things well. It really pulls off the hat trick of being a fun car and being very practical too. So very good second-hand value car. But thought it'd be nice to take this opportunity and kind of give a review on this car now that it's 10 years old. And the other reason being, we're actually about to see a lot of modifications done to this car here in the near future. I have a number of things planned for it, so now it's kind of like the last stop where we stop and take a look at the car in a relatively stock form. You know, I've got an intake, and it has TRD springs and regular dampeners, so it's pretty close to stock in terms of handling. There's really not a lot. So it's kind of a great point to look at it and assess it as a regular car and not necessarily a modified one. And for my ownership, I've loved this thing. Like I said, I have actually had no real issues with this car at all. Really, the only issue that I had was rear hatches. What's the word? The only real issue I've had is the rear hatch struts, which did go out. I think that was last year or 2 years ago, and so I replaced those. I mean, that was $30 and took 5 minutes literally. Outside of that, I mean, it's amazing, right? I've not had any sensors fail. You know, I'm still on the original oil packs. I've done brakes, I've done oil changes, and that's honestly it. I've never had any check engine light from anything that wasn't my own fault, which, you know, I really just love this car because it's so simple. I mean, there's not even an engine cover on this. There's no plastic cover. You can actually still see the engine. You know, it's a Camry motor. It's got a manual transmission. It has an actual e-brake. It doesn't have a button. So to me, this is kind of one of the last really somewhat analog cars. Yes, it has a electronic throttle and a fair amount of electronics, but You know, you can turn traction control off fully. It's, like I said, it's a manual. The engine is still relatively very easy to work on. All right, let's go ahead and do a 0 to 60 here. Bog it off the line, but that'll give you an idea of you know, how fast this car kind of feels from 0 to 60. So it does pretty okay. It definitely is a little on the heavier side, so getting off the line, you know, it kind of struggles to just pull itself up just a little bit, but once it kind of climbs onto that cam and just gets going, it does pull pretty well. There's a second gear pull from 30. Yeah, so not bad. I mean, it's not going to set the world on fire, of course, but there's just something I really enjoy about this car. It's just, to me, this kind of reminds me of just, you know, 90s Japanese tuner cars. They were really simple. They weren't crazy fast. You know, their parts are cheap. You can play with it. You're not really going to mess too much up. And I think there's a lot to be said about cars in that category. And, you know, I hope we see more, but. As I mentioned, the car is on the stock struts, and it's got TRD springs, and it rides remarkably well, actually. It never feels too stiff. You know, it's never it doesn't feel like it's rattling your fillings out of your teeth or kind of break your spine. But next to the car, it feels agile. You know, it really does corner very well. The tendency of this car is to understeer. But on longer sweepers and you know, things that are not just tight corners, it really does handle extremely well and keeps a good planted feel to it. I want to say weight distribution on these cars is about a 64-36, so it's it's pretty damn nose heavy. This car pretty well. Not too bad of a driver's car, you know? I don't think anyone would really expect that. Here we are right now. This motor turns along really well, actually. I kind of like the sound of it too. I know sound is very, very subjective, but I'm kind of over the automotive and boomer society. Not really enjoying the sound of 4 cylinders. You know, maybe it's not as sing-song sweet as a V8 or a V12, of course, but I think in their own right, I think they really do sound pretty good. And this one is no exception, especially with that TRD exhaust. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that this kind of format is interesting and entertaining for you guys. It's It's kind of a different one, and I'm not sure how well a 10-year review, or a review on a 10-year-old platform is going to do, but it's something that I just wanted to personally do because I really enjoy this car, and it seems like there are a lot of you guys out there too that really enjoy the ownership of your cars. So thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoy this, please subscribe if you would, and maybe leave a comment, and maybe like this video too. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking around through the whole review. Here's some entertaining driving footage with some interesting audio where I put the microphone inside the engine bay next to the intake.